In the realm of mobile games, every now and then the inevitable occurs. Meta change. Units that might have been good a year ago might not be as relevant now. This is what we call power creep. It's no different in Opera Omnia. Some units that were once top tier aren't as much nowadays. But it begs the question, are there some characters in the game that are so good in what they do that no matter how many power creeps come in the future, no matter how many weeks, months, maybe even years later go by, they can still be viable to meta? The solution to this question is very subjective, but I wanted to nonetheless have a crack at answering it. These are the top 5 timeless units in Dissidia Opera Omnia as of August 2023. These are unranked, just so you know. The first unit I'll talk about is Aerith. Why do, in my opinion, I think that she is a timeless character? Because her kit involves mechanics that are so deeply embedded into the battle system, they will always be important to the game. First thing, Aerith has 100% prevention of buffs and debuffs. The enemy cannot grant any buffs to themselves, nor can they inflict any debuffs onto your party. Buffs and debuffs are always going to be important in Opera Omnia, no matter what the era. Another thing that will always be important in the game, not dying. Aerith's gold frame buff given by her BT outright makes your team invincible. You will be receiving 0 HP damage. No matter what the power creep comes in the future or how much stronger the bosses get, it doesn't matter. What's 0 damage multiplied by anything? 0. She also brings a bunch of other things that I think will always be relevant to the meta going forward. She continues to be one of the best healers in the game, is a fantastic force charger, and on the off chance your team does die, she has revive as well. The next unit that I think is timeless, Iris. Iris, like Aerith, is still to this day one of the best support units in the game. She too can force charge, heal, but what I'm looking at most from her are her BT and EX. Starting with her EX, what it does is it will copy the damage given by the last attack by an ally, and then deal that same amount to the target. There's no cap to the amount of damage she can copy, by the way. If your party was at 999 force time, and someone ends up dealing 99 million damage, and force time ends up wearing off afterwards, guess what? Iris's EX will still deal that 99 million damage to the T, on top of some extra by herself, mind you. Why worry about a power creep when you can just copy? Next, let's look at her BT. Her burst makes it so all enemies' attack, defense, and max brave go to 0. Now, 0 attack and defense, that should speak for itself. But for some newer players, they might think, why is 0 max brave important? Well, in this game, brave and HP damage go hand in hand. You need brave in order to deal HP damage. What happens when the max amount of brave you can have is 0? You're gonna deal 0 damage. When you think about it, no matter the meta change that happens in the future, Iris can both copy that meta change in terms of damage and almost nullify it completely with her BT. Next, I want to talk about Gladio and Raijin. This is a bit of a cheap shot because I'm including 2 in 1, but these characters work very similarly to each other. I figured they could share a spot. For these 2 characters, I'm not necessarily talking about them as units, even though Gladio is indeed a fantastic unit. I'm talking specifically about their calls. Great thing about calls, by the way, you don't need their FR or BT to build it. Just up to the LD and you're fine. Gladio's call continues to be the staple for all solo runs in Opera Omnia to this day, because what it does is it lowers all brave and HP damage targeted towards the call user to 0. It doesn't lower it by a half, it doesn't lower it by a third, doesn't lower it by 3/4, it lowers it to 0. Not only that, the call user will also be completely protected from all debuffs. Raijin is similar to Gladio in that it essentially eliminates all damage and debuffs as well. More specifically, his debuff will lower the enemy's HP damage and attack by 100%. What's any HP damage subtracted by itself? 0 damage! You're starting to notice a pattern with all these units. Invincibility is invincibility, no matter the power creep. Let's move on to Kina and Setzer. These 2 units also function very similarly to each other. Their biggest selling points are that they guarantee your party to deal the max amount of damage that they can possibly deal. Well, Kina is 100%, but with Setzer, it's technically a 70% chance. However, it's a 70% chance to deal guaranteed max damage. Kina and Setzer both help with one of the most fundamental things that happen in a battle, dealing damage. In Opera Omnia, HP attacks will be a part of any meta, so it makes sense to argue that units who help you maximize your HP attacks will always be relevant. Unless the meta shifts to only attacking with HP poison. At that rate, I might just have to quit the game. In addition, it's also important to note, Setzer also has his infamous Brave Freeze effect, making enemies unable to gain any Brave whatsoever. Remember, if you can't gain any more Brave, you can't deal any more damage, so we're going back to that invincibility aspect here. So, that is my list of timeless units in Opera Omnia. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Here are the honorable mentions for you to look at. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and let's have a chat. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!